Your body has a cleaning system that runs every minute of every day. It's how you clear used hormones, environmental toxins, broken down medications, everything that needs to leave. Most of the time, you don't even think about it. But there's a way it can go wrong that almost nobody talks about. And when it does, the things your body is trying to clean can actually damage your own DNA. Today, I'm going to explain how this cleaning system actually works, what goes wrong when it gets backed up, how you can see with a real test whether it's happening to you, and what to do about it. I'm not a doctor. I'm a functional nutrition coach who started looking at this when I ran my own labs and started asking what my body was actually doing with all the hormones we covered in my last video. Most people assume their body just handles this stuff. It does until it doesn't. This is the kind of information I think every adult should at least understand. Quick reset on what detoxification is. It's not a juice cleanse. It's not a liver flush. It's not a special tea or a foot pad or whatever the wellness industry is selling this month. Real detoxification is a chemical process happening inside your liver every day, run by enzymes. Here's how it actually works. Your body has a two-step cleaning system. I want you to picture it like a factory line. 2 stations, both required. Step 1 breaks things down. When a used hormone or toxin comes through your liver, Step 1 chops it into smaller pieces so your body can process it. Step 2 takes those smaller pieces and attaches a chemical tag to them. The tag makes the pieces safe and water soluble, which means your body can flush them out in your urine or stool. Here's the part almost nobody teaches. Those smaller pieces from step 1, the in-between forms, are often more dangerous than the original thing your body was trying to clean. Step 2 is supposed to grab those reactive in-between forms and tag them before they can cause harm. When step 1 and step 2 are balanced, the system works exactly as designed. When step 2 falls behind, those reactive in-between forms build up, and that's when they can do damage. Now let me show you what this looks like with estrogen, because it's the easiest example to see, and there's a test for it. When your body finishes using estrogen, it sends it to the liver to be cleaned out. Step 1 breaks the estrogen down, but it can break it into 2 different shapes. One shape, researchers call it the 2-hydroxy form, is relatively safe. Even before step 2 finishes, it doesn't do much damage. This is the form you want your body to make more of. The other shape, the 4-hydroxy form, is the dangerous one. If step 2 finishes the job and tags that 4-hydroxy form quickly, you're fine. The tag makes it safe and flushes it out. If step 2 is slow, that 4-hydroxy form sits around longer than it should. And what it can do, and this is documented in peer-reviewed cancer research going back decades, is react directly with your DNA. It binds to specific spots on your DNA strand and creates damage that, if it isn't repaired, can start the cellular changes that lead to cancer. Researchers have measured these DNA changes. They're called adducts, forming in laboratory studies and in tissue samples from women with breast cancer. The 4-hydroxy pathway is one of the established ways estrogen-driven cancers begin. Step 2, the tagging step, depends on an enzyme your body makes, and some people are born with a slower version of that enzyme. This isn't rare. The slower version is genuinely common. In some populations, about half of all people have at least one copy. Roughly 1 in 4 people has the slower version on both copies. And their step 2 enzyme runs at about a quarter of full speed. If that's you, and you don't know it, you're producing 4-hydroxyestrogens and not tagging them as fast as someone else would. You don't get a symptom that tells you this is happening. You just have it, quietly, your whole life. I'll get to how to actually find out in a minute, but if you want the gene names to write them down, the one that makes the tagging enzyme is called COMT. And there's an upstream gene called MTHFR that controls the methylation cycle that COMT depends on. If you ever get a genetic test, those are the 2 names to know. Which brings us to how you'd actually find out. The most common test for this is called Dutch. It's a urine test you take at home, stands for dried urine test for comprehensive hormones. What it measures is your actual broken down estrogen, the in-between forms we just talked about. It shows whether your body is making more of the safe shape or more of the dangerous shape, and whether step 2 is keeping up. And here's the pattern that should get your attention. 1, your 4-hydroxy levels are elevated. Your body is producing more of the dangerous type than the safe one. Or 2, your methylation is poor. That's the technical name for the tagging step. The test shows whether the tagging is keeping up. If both those are true on the same test, high 4-hydroxy and slow tagging, that's the pattern that says your body might be running the DNA damaging pathway right now. And here's the thing. Most standard blood work will never show this. Your doctor can run a hormone panel and tell you everything looks normal. Meanwhile, your Dutch test is showing a pattern that's been linked to elevated cancer risk in the research. In one study, women who had both the variant that makes the more 4-hydroxy and the variant for slow tagging had 6 times the risk of disease compared to women without those variants. Now, this video is not me telling everyone needs to run a Dutch test tomorrow. This matters most if one of these things describes you. Family history of estrogen-driven cancers, that's breast, ovarian, endometrial, or prostate cancer, especially in close relatives. Current estrogen dominant symptoms, heavy or painful periods, fibroids, endometriosis, PMS that's worse than it should be. You're on hormonal birth control or hormone replacement therapy. You're processing a larger estrogen load through the same cleaning system. Heavy exposure to environmental estrogens, certain plastics, pesticides, some personal care products. High chronic stress. Your body's using the same tagging enzyme to clear stress hormones, so high stress competes for the same step 2 capacity. Or heavy alcohol use. Alcohol directly impairs how your liver handles step 1. If one or more of those describes you, knowing your Dutch pattern changes the conversation. If none of them do, then the foundational habits I'm about to walk you through still matter for general health. The testing is just less urgent. Layer 1 is foundational. This is for everyone, regardless of risk profile. Cruciferous vegetables every single day. Broccoli sprouts, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts. The compounds in these foods do 2 things. They shift your step 1 toward producing more of the safe shape and less of the dangerous shape. And they boost a compound called sulforaphane that supports your body's broader detox machinery. B vitamins and magnesium support the tagging step, either through real food, leafy greens, eggs, legumes, quality protein, or a basic high-quality multivitamin. Cut back on alcohol. Alcohol impairs your liver's ability to handle step 1 at multiple points. Move your body. Regular movement supports liver clearance and reduces inflammation that drives estrogen problems. That's the foundation. None of it requires a test, and none of it requires a prescription. So if you do nothing else, do that. Now, layer 2, if you fit the risk profile we just covered, run a Dutch test. Get the actual data on what your body's doing. The tests run around $300 to $400 depending on where you order it. It's not cheap, but a fraction of what one round of cancer treatment costs. Consider a basic genetic test if you've never run one. If you've already run 23andMe, Ancestry DNA, you can run the raw data through a free tool, Genetic Genie is one, and see your variants in about 10 minutes. The 2 genes to look at are COMT, that's your tagging enzyme, and MTHFR, the upstream gene that controls the methylation cycle COMT depends on. Write those names down. And work with a practitioner who actually knows how to read both. Not a TRT clinic, not a generic primary care visit, someone trained in functional medicine who works with these patterns regularly. Click the link in the description if you want to schedule a time to meet with our practice. Now, layer 3, the intervention conversation. And I want to be really specific about this. This is a conversation to have with that practitioner who can look at your individual case. Don't just blindly follow a protocol online without working with someone who can look at your labs and create a protocol designed for you. The categories that typically come up in this conversation: targeted supplements that support the tagging step, things like methylated B vitamins and magnesium, supplements that help shift step 1 toward the safer shape, things like DIM from cruciferous vegetable concentrates, compounds that help clear the dangerous in-between forms before they can cause damage, things like NAC, resveratrol have peer-reviewed evidence for this, and specific products, specific doses, and specific sequencing. Detoxification isn't a juice cleanse. It's a real chemical process that runs every day in your liver. And when part of it gets backed up, the very things your body is trying to clean can start to damage your DNA. And we're on a mission to help 1 million people get off symptom managing medication and finally get to the root cause of their chronic health issues. Subscribe if you want more of this, the science underneath the symptoms. Gut first, everything else follows.